Yeah, it's so sad. Braddock made it to the Season 2 finals, and now he made it to the bottom of the... how do I say this nicely? He's at the bottom.
Yeah, you know, it's just, at this point, it's not like these guys are bad at all. Not at all. Braddock, you were saying it, got to the Season 2 finals and was doing fantastic. HayprO, this guy that's been touted as amazing potential, had that amazing run in MLG, just needs that platform to shine. Not able to piece it together. He's searching for his first win in NASL. Not necessarily his first game win, but his first series win. And that's tough. And at one point, Andre, we're talking about just the psychology of losing. At one point, it's just really tough because, you know, like, do I even care? I'm out of NASL. Is it really worth fighting for? And the answer is yes. There's $150 and a lot of pride. That's
the thing. I mean, that's what separates, I think, NASL from all leagues. We don't have these matches that don't matter. Everything matters because there's $150 on the line for all of these. So HayprO,
you know what matters the most, though, Andre?
What?
You matter the most. It's true. Actually, no. Andre, we got here to Season 3 because of you, man. But you know what also matters is that HayprO is immediately going for a hatchery first. Very standard opening in ZVT. Actually, do we even introduce these players? Or are you still going to keep the awkward silence on?
No, I'm so touched, Frodan.
All right. Okay,
you never touched me like that.
You were staring at me with a straight face, and all of a sudden you finally smiled when you said something, and I felt really uncomfortable.
It's so touching, Frodan. It's so touching.
Well, I try, man. I try. I don't know what else to say. I feel so uncomfortable.
It's cool, bro. I got it. Got it.
I don't know what to say.
Elliot, I got it, bro. Anyway, let's talk about the game and talk about the players. Go ahead. Introduce them.
All right, so in the bottom right, going for hatchery first, very standard ZVT play. I think it was 15, 16, 17 in ZVT is HayprO from Team Liquid. HayprO is showing gobs of brilliance at times, and then sometimes just seems that he falls apart to very, very silly things that maybe he wasn't expecting. Maybe it's a scouting issue. Maybe it's just a lack of preparation in terms of the player. But HayprO just plays so good if he's allowed to play his game. Now, ZVT is his game. It's actually statistically his best matchup, but he's up against Braddock, this Season 2 finalist who's been playing so well in NASL Season 2. Braddock is one of these players that doesn't necessarily cater his builds to what people are doing, but what he thinks is right and appropriate, and that it's just never been more evident in his recent play. Unfortunately, Braddock's been not necessarily losing games, but just losing series. He's a lot like Jinro. He's 1-6, but he's been taking games here and there, and Braddock is only at -6, even though he's at 1-6.
I feel so bad for Jinro. I mean, that's another story for another day, but if you guys don't know already, Jinro has gone like 1-2 for every single one of his matches except one of them. That is brutal. So he's winless currently. It's unfortunate, but much like Jinro, I think HayprO is just searching for that win. I think a lot of the Team Liquid guys are actually in that state where they're like trying to connect everything together, and once everything connects, it's going to be like boom, they're going to have a lot of success. But at this point, they just haven't found their stride yet, and it's unfortunate because I know HayprO is a fantastic player, a fantastic strategist coming from the StarCraft Brood War background. I've actually had a lot of experience with him, and I can say for sure that he is potential. He has mass potential, but right now he just has not been able to realize it.
We see a Roche Warren from HayprO out pretty early with a second gas. Oh my! Now, I want to. Who is it? DRG. But when this map was really popular in GSL, did a lot of Roach pressure early on. Maybe even throw in the Baneling Nest and go for Roach Bane bust. But the idea is you're flexible if you can go with Roaches, because early on, bunkers can't cover that much surface area around that ramp. So you can really poke in, get an economic advantage, take your third, and all of a sudden have an overwhelming mid game against Terran. And as a result, maybe that's what HayprO's trying to do here, but he does have that Roach-born finish. Now I'm curious to see what he's going to go with this.
Yeah, he's doing an eco-style Roach Baneling bust, most likely. I would be surprised if it's actually just 7 roaches and he backs off. Nope, 9 roaches immediately in there. And a Baneling Nest should go down momentarily. This is like pretty important to actually do it with Zerglings and Banelings.
I mean, he got Zergling speed, so
exactly.
he's going to have it.
But more importantly, it's like you're already investing so much into it. Why are you, it's like a jack of all trades, master of none. You want to actually put a lot more pressure on your opponent just because it's so accessible. And there it is. The Baneling Nest does go down. Thank you, HayprO. Making me look good. In Braddock's base, he's not going to do too well against this.
Well, he does have a tech lab, and he's making his first Marauder, but he doesn't have a bunker really in position. Now, the biggest thing is that Braddock will not be able to hold his command center in the slightest. The first few roaches have been revealed. Finally, HayprO cleverly split up his roaches to avoid any kind of vision, but Braddock also losing his Hellions. So 2 got picked off in a third.
Yes, he will.
And Braddock has to already know that he's in trouble, sending his SCVs already from the natural to the main, realizing that he probably can't hold this position for very long.
Yeah, a lot of times when you're actually defending against this, you need positioning, which is bunkers on the ramp and then bunkers behind. And you also need a lot of stuff, a lot of Marines, a lot of Marauders. There's none of that in this game. And you can see the bunker is immediately surrounded. That means all of the DPS, all of the units inside of here are going to die as well. The command center is going to be given up as well. This is just looking terrible for Braddock. And look at this Baneling bust. 3 supply depots will go down because of it.
And just gives the entry point. HayprO's officially entered his opponent's base, and Braddock really has nothing left. Anything that pops out will immediately die. But he is pulling his SCVs, and that does give him a little bit of hope. The bunker is still staying strong, but it looks like it finally will drop, and the roaches will now be able to have a free reign to do as much damage as they want. Would love to see HayprO target down that last Marauder, the only unit really able to do damage other than 1 or 2 Marines. But with that, HayprO gets a huge advantage, and even if this force drops, HayprO can just drone and take a huge advantage. Look at it, he's taking his third just like we were talking about. And at this point, there's almost nothing Braddock can do. His supply is dipping so low, now down to the low 20s. And that's pretty much going to be impossible for Braddock to come back from, because these roaches are still doing damage. Look at that, he's even targeting down the mule. An excellent choice for HayprO.
And this whole time, I mean, HayprO is
1
just...
SCV.
Does he really? 2.
Oh,
Come on, dude.
One just popped. 1 just
2.
popped.
That's 100% different. Okay?
Oh, he's about to lose one of them again unless he can deal with these Zergling forces. HayprO does back off for a time being, but Braddock would have to do the craziest damage with these 2 medevacs and small pack of bio.
Well, if you're Cass, you actually won the game from here.
Yeah, I saw this so match between Cass and Targa the other day.
Oh my
where
God.
Like Cass just like wouldn't quit and just keep using drops and eventually pick Targa apart again. It was an absolute spectacle to watch. Cass is one of my favorite players to watch, but this is just tough because these are 2 players that I enjoy watching, but Braddock is not given reign to do anything.
And there goes... No! I thought he was about to remove 33% of the SCV income off the field. He didn't.
HayprO does run by. Now, what's interesting is that Braddock still is intent on mining from two bases. Normally we see, like, you know, Terrence wall off that ramp, or wall off the area, it's not a ramp, and then just try to remake on 1 base, do what you can to harass, and really try to pull yourself in. But Braddock's still intent on defending on a couple fronts, and that puts him in a very vulnerable spot. Because he's still trying to mine, and I think in the end, if he just kind of had his orbital commands rallied and really be able to saturate 1 base, he'd still be in the same position, but more fortified.
Agree.
Agree, disagree?
Agree.
This drop is good for Braddock. Agree, disagree?
It's okay. I mean...
It's what he needs to do at this point, though.
Exactly, but I mean, anything HayprO does at this point is good.
And I like what he's doing, getting upgrades. HayprO's really padding on it, because then his units will be, like, unkillable. On top of the fact that he can produce a lot of units. Hey, Braddock losing the remains of it. Look at that, Braddock trying to drop and attack at the same time. He's going to take out this hatchery, which is really impressive.
More of a mistake, I think, from HayprO than anything else. You can't lose stuff like that, but still he's so far ahead. I mean, as I said, like, there's so many things that have to go wrong for HayprO. Oh my gosh, drop in the back of the main. Clearing up a lot of drones. No, don't go attack with the drones.
Well, HayprO's attacking the natural as well, and there's almost nothing there. There's 1 Marine and 1 medevac. And that's not going to do anything. That 1 Marine's running back as if they can really survive against this onslaught of Zerglings, but there's just way too many units, and Braddock at this point is forced to use his SCVs to pull, dropping his mules again, trying to see if he can get mining with that. Braddock's drop in the main finally is about to get cleaned up, and with that, Braddock officially just has no real presence in his main whatsoever. Just a couple of Marines, but with these roaches, HayprO will clean up.
Yep, and everything will be cleaned up at the natural. 1-1 is about to kick in. Okay, there it is. GG, ladies and gentlemen.
HayprO takes game number 1, showing lots of life in him, and with a great build. It was so clean about HayprO is small things like as soon as the Zerglings got rallied, and even down to the point where the very second the Zerglings were at the rally point, the baiting nest finished, so they can just morph. So just like HayprO is playing clean. Like there's nothing wrong with his execution, but I think it just shows signs that HayprO is a very strong player.
Yeah,
can't underestimate him.
I do think Braddock had a weird build for that game. The fact that he just didn't have enough barracks out in time. That's a lot of times why we see the starport being delayed lately. A lot of these TVZs these days, just because drones are able to be made so much earlier than normal. The Queen buff has definitely changed things dramatically, and Zergs have been actually getting a lot more units, going straight to 38 drones and then pushing out. You need to actually go, I think, barracks, factory, barracks, starport, and instead of, you know, really trying to... No, I think...
Squeeze out your tech.
Yeah,
you're trying to say they tech too fast and
I think they do. Yeah, exactly right. So
that's fair enough. Yeah, I've experienced my fair share of that, and obviously Braddock experienced his fair share of that. Yeah. Do we have the replay available? Let's check out that last that huge battle that was happening. Now, the biggest thing is, again, Braddock opted to not try to defend that ramp, but you can see that it almost didn't matter because he was blocking his own units out. He just wasn't prepared. He was trying to make a bunker behind the supply depot line as well. So, like, Braddock, when he saw it, reacted correctly, but just didn't have enough time. And I want to credit that to HayprO, because HayprO split up his units and really tried to hide it well. And that was a good job by him.
I think the Hellions dying in the beginning stage also affected this as well. But the fact of the matter is the medevac investment does nothing for you right here. You actually need the factory to be on the reactor for a lot longer if you want to survive this type of push. But the fact of the matter is he lost all of his Hellions. The Zerglings are empowered that way, and they're able to do a ton of damage. And that's why you had this beautiful battle, I think, for HayprO, where, look at that, 33 SCVs killed in that. Absolutely brilliant.
Well done. Yeah. So, well done to HayprO, and he takes game number 1. Now, this is still a best of 3, so anything can happen. In the meantime, we want to thank Epson, the sponsor of that game. Epson provides projections for NASL Season 3. Again, check them out at epson.com. We'll be back with game number 2 between HayprO and Braddock. Will the Banjo take it, or will the killer assassinate his next victim?